Hi, Prayer Warrior family. Welcome back. I know it's been a hot minute since we've continued on our faith walk with the Lord, but a few things have occurred, and that's why I have been a bit delayed. I have uploaded the prayer sequence to go with the Seeking God's Guidance, so you can see the prayer and the affirmations to go along with it. I sound a little terrible now. This time it's not because I'm afraid. I've grown a bit, so I'm not so terrified to get on here anymore, but I got horribly sick and I'm still getting over that. I'm gonna do my best not to sound gross or anything because I know nobody wants to see that, but that's just why I sound like this right now. Anyhow, this today, our walk with the Lord is going to be a prayer for patience. I will catch you up on some things that have been going on in my life just because they're relevant to the message that I'm bringing today. Again, if you see me looking away, I'm looking at my outline here to make sure we hit all the topics that are super pertinent. But we'll begin with a prayer to the Lord to start. Father, help us today to be patient with others, with ourselves, with your perfect timing. Teach us to trust in your divine plan. Amen. So today we're going to come before the Lord to seek his patience. The world is super fast paced. It's demanding a lot of instant results. It's easy to get really frustrated when things don't happen in our timing. But patience is a fruit of the Spirit. It's a sign of trust in God's perfect plan. So let's reflect on his word and seek his strength to wait in faith. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, it tells us, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Sometimes we don't understand why we have to wait, but God sees the bigger picture. His timing is never late. It's not going to be too early. It's always going to be just right. Now, elaborating on patience as the fruit of the Spirit, in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 through 23, God reminds us the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control. So imagine all of these amazing attributes just dwelling within the Spirit, emanating from God. So patience is not just about waiting, it's about how we wait. And we can wait with peace, trust, and a heart that's fixed on God. Now, confession time. I know in one of the last series, I was talking about how we can wait in our patience, seeking the Lord's guidance. And then I also said when we do call out to God, the Lord, and we are seeking his guidance, we don't want to call out in a panic. We don't want to call out in frustration, irritation, any of the signs that are showing that we're not trusting in the Lord. And even though we're developing our trust and we may have that small kernel that we're growing, we're nurturing, we still want to exercise it as much as possible. Well, I totally became guilty in doing just the opposite. So catching up on some things that happened with me. So my lease ran out. It was time for me to get the hey-ho on out of the house I was renting. And even though they kept sending me emails saying it's time to renew because they forgot I was the one that no longer was going to have that house rented, the owners of that particular house were selling. So I had like a very short amount of time to get all of the belongings in the house. And there were a lot of belongings in the house. So even though I'd been packing and putting everything together, it was just an army of me to move the whole house, a whole 3-bedroom house. And I was under the delusion that I could do it all by myself. So I tried. I was moving everything. I have an SUV, so I was putting everything I could. It fits a lot of stuff. But temperatures were over 100 degrees every day. It was super hot. I'm asthmatic, so here I was huffing and puffing, just looking tragic, just all day. From the morning I would get up. I wouldn't even eat breakfast, anything. I would drink fluids to stay hydrated. Otherwise, I wouldn't even make that. But I just kept, like a little machine, just kept going, just getting everything out as much as possible. And the Lord had put it on my heart to give my belongings away. So not try to sell them and get some extra money, which I could totally use. The Lord told me to give them away. And because I'm working on obedience, I went ahead and did that dutifully. I didn't hesitate this time. I was like, all right, Lord, this is what we're doing. And it was good stuff. Good stuff, like 60-inch TV. I'm sorry, I'm still getting over stuff, so I have a little cough I'm trying to overcome. So, I kept one of the 40-inch TVs, but gave the other one away. Just all kinds of good stuff. The Lord said, put it in my heart to give it away. And I didn't even know who to give it away, because here I was living in a city I really didn't know anyone. Like I said, there was 2 people that I came there with, 2 family members, and they were really the only people I knew. There were some work people like kind of knew, just from working with them, but not on any type of actual relationship. And I didn't work there anymore, so it felt kind of awkward to be reaching out to any of them. So here I was slaving away, moving everything all by myself. Well, in the midst of my delirium, because again, I was barely getting any sleep, I wasn't eating, I was just drinking fluids, and I was out in the heat, super dehydrated, huffing and puffing my little asthmatic sauce. So as I was going through all of this, I mistakenly locked myself out of my house. And I know you're thinking, well, how do you lock yourself out? Well, we have 2 doors. And in the city I live in, the houses are designed really weird. The front door is actually on the side of the house. And so I always go in and out of the garage. So as I'm going in and out of the garage, this time I went ahead and locked the garage door with the deadbolt and the little bottom lock. Because I was going to be on the other side taking things out of the quote-unquote front door, which is really on the side of the house, because it was a straight path. It's a little bit windy to go through the garage to move big items. And I had this big old sofa I was moving all by myself. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta pause for a minute. All right, sorry about that interruption. I'm still having some symptoms that I'm dealing with, and I don't want to gross y'all out. So anyways, back to where I was. Moving this heavy sofa all by myself. So I had a dolly, so it was manageable. I'm a strong girl. So besides, I felt kind of like Beyonce and Wonder Woman with her lasso of truth. I had this rope. So I was like, oh, if I tie the sofa to the dolly, all I have to do is really just hold the weight of it and pull the dolly. So that was my brilliant plan. So I'm going out the front door, which is an easier straight sidewalk chute than the windy path that I have to go through the house out the garage. And as I'm going that path, something tells me, oh, you know what, let me just close the front door so that way, because the door's on the side of the house and not the front, I won't have as much visibility. And I do live in a city that has a lot of homeless population. Nothing against the homeless. I'm displaced myself right now. But they're not shy about, at least in my city, they're not very shy about coming up and helping themselves to anyone's amenities. I've had some of them just turn on the water faucet on the side of my house, just helping themselves to stuff. So I thought, maybe I should go ahead and at least close this door since I'm not on that side. I'm going to be by the moving van putting this in there. So I go ahead and close the front door. And I'm moving with this sofa, which fell on me 4 times, even with my little lasso of truth, my rope, which I thought was such an ingenious plan. My sidewalk's not even, so that wasn't as great of a plan as I had anticipated. So I went through it. I went through it with this move. And after I fought with the sofa to get it into the moving van, I realized, oh my goodness, did I just lock myself out of the house? Because my purse, my keys, my phone, everything was inside the house. And I had, for the first time, locked the deadbolt and the little lock on the bottom to the garage door. And the front door, which I don't usually use, it has one of those like key and number things that even though they gave me a code, it never worked, so I never used that door. And lo and behold, when I go back to the house to finish my move, I'm locked out. Now, I don't have my phone, so I don't have a way to contact the manager of the residence. I don't know anybody in the city, so it's not like I left anybody a key. And I probably should have done one of those like little fake rocks outside or something with a spare key, but I didn't. So I was literally locked outside of the house while I'm trying to move, and I have nobody I could turn to. And it's already been days, very little sleep, very little food. I'm working hard, lifting heavy stuff all by myself. And I just had a little breakdown moment. I did. And I said, you know what, Lord, you told me to be obedient. I'm being obedient. You told me to give away all my stuff. I'm giving away my stuff. And I like rented a van to give away my stuff. Even though my funds were limited, the Lord put it in my heart to do it. I was doing it. But it was eye-opening, the experience, in many ways. And that's why I want to share this with you. One of the things that was super eye-opening is as I was giving away all of these belongings, and a lot of it I just gave to Goodwill because, again, I didn't know anybody. Um, I won't say most, but over half of the items that I was giving away weren't even opened. I had a heater that during the pandemic, I was like, oh, you know what, if I'm going to be stuck in the house, I'm going to make my backyard beautiful. I had this big old heating lamp. I had a little outside seating area. I had a little swing set, like all kinds of cool stuff that I thought, oh, I'll put together, but then I kept moving. So then I didn't put any of it together, and I just kept moving all of this super heavy stuff. So as I was giving it away, right before my eyes, I was seeing all of this waste. Even though I had the best of intentions, and at the time, the family member that was living with me, I thought, oh, this would be so beautiful for the family member too. I had all of these things that I worked so hard to get, and that I was now just giving away. I could see the waste, and why it was important for me to shed some of that old me by letting go of those things. Another thing that became glaringly obvious is here I was in the city. I didn't know anybody. I was in a jam. Um, I didn't even have a phone to call for assistance, or it's not like I could just call a locksmith. But when I went out that front door that I never really go out of, and I finally did, I saw a package, and I was like, I didn't order anything recently. So I looked at this package, and the package, it was apparently one of my neighbors. It was beaten up, I guess from the weather. There had been a rain, so it was a little bit wet. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have no idea how long this package has been out there. I don't ever go out that way. Um, so I was like, you know what, let me just give this package to my neighbor. And so I went over, oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Right before I went over to my neighbor and I had my little breakdown, what I said to the Lord was this. I said, Lord, you told me to give away these things. I'm giving them away. I'm being as obedient as I can be. Yes, it's late, but I'm being obedient. And now I'm running into this absolutely halting obstacle that I have no idea what to do next. I said, so right now what I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you and the angels to come in the physical and help me with this move. Because I can't do it by myself. I tried. I was under the delusion that I could. I was doing everything that I thought you wanted me to do. But I'm at this point. So in desperation, I called that out. So I'm dutifully trudging over this package to my neighbor's house. A neighbor that, I mean, I've lived there, gosh, I guess 2 years. Never talked to. Might have waved once or twice. Never said anything else to. I think one of my family members that was there talked to the neighbor like once or twice. That's about it. So here I go over to my neighbor. I didn't even really know what my neighbor looked like, you know? Like I've seen the outline of her, the essence, you know, as she passes by, but I actually saw her face at the door. And I said, you know what, I have this package. I never use the front door, but here's your package. I'm so sorry it's in this condition. I don't know how long it's been sitting there, but at least you have your item, or you can file a claim on it. And then I said, I hate to ask you for this because I know I don't really know you, but can I use your phone to call a locksmith I'm in the middle of a move and I just locked myself out of the house. And with all of the kindness anyone could have, she said, of course. She welcomed me in her home. I didn't want to come in. I'm moving. I was hot. I was sweaty. I didn't want to just be up in her house. But she welcomed me in. She was offering me something to drink. And I called the locksmith. One of them couldn't come. Another one was saying it was going to be like a couple hours wait because I guess they were super busy. And I thought, well, hey, it's better than nothing, and I don't want to keep calling people on her phone. So they said they would call me back, so I'm waiting. I'm just waiting. And in my wait, I just burst into tears. I was just so frustrated, so exhausted. Everything was going wrong in that moment. And then my neighbor's mom happened to be there. And her mom just was so calm, so sweet as well. And just started talking to me. Now, my neighbor's got a whole bunch of kids, so she's busy trying to, be mom. And she's got this neighbor that she's never talked to before, suddenly in her home, needing everything. But she was so good. She got me tissues. And her mom started to talk to me and asked me just kind of what was going on. And I explained to her what was happening. And her mom says, wow, I've seen you a few times, but, we don't really talk or anything, so I had no idea what you were going through. She said, but if I'd known, I would have helped you, one, try to sell all your stuff. And I said, no. God put it in my heart for me to give it away. So even though it would be nice to sell, God said for me to give it away, so I'm giving it away. And she said, you know what? I'm going to call the rest of my family, and we're going to help you with your move. So for the next couple of days, she called her children and their spouses, and they literally helped me move the house. Now, I was pretty, I was giving stuff away, so there was still really good stuff left. I was telling you about the TV. I was like, you want a 60-inch TV? You need a sound bar to go with it. You need the little console that it sits on. I was like, whatever games I have. I had a brand new refrigerator, washing machine, 2 dryers, 1 electric, 1 gas. I was like, just have it. I had a whole gym for my family member that needed physical therapy. I was like, at this point, just have it all. The Lord told me to give it away, which means when it's my time to rebuild, I can rebuild and get some of these new things. But honestly, again, after seeing so many of these brand new items untouched, I realized I don't even need as much as I've been lugging around from place to place. So those were some of the eye-opening things. But here was this person that I didn't know because I didn't take the time to get to know my neighbors. I just stayed in my own little bubble with my own issues going on. And I had this amazing neighbor next to me for 2 years, the whole time. The whole time. And her family was amazing as well. Not only did they help me move, but they actually paid for an additional truck. Because I had a moving van, which I didn't realize didn't have any type of walkway. So I had to literally carry everything into the van. But I thought it would be easier for me to drive the transit van than the actual big moving truck. So I don't know, I underestimated my own ability, but that's what I chose to do. And then I had to give that back. And my funds obviously are limited. And out of the goodness of their heart, they went ahead and rented the truck themselves so they can help me move these things. And I was so taken back that I called out to the Lord. I was frustrated, and I said, I'm going to need you and the angels, all of them. Call the army. I need help. I'm going to need you all to come to the physical. And then just like that, the Lord sent his own angels, his own little army, my next door neighbors and their whole family to assist me in the process. And it was so profound. I was so taken back. And not only were they so great and helpful, but they were so faithful. They were counseling me. They had gone through some of their own issues, and they had shared resources that may be able to assist me in this new journey. They were very excited to learn about this channel that I've started and what I was doing with it. Some of the things that I had learned along my way and what I'm still learning. And it was so strange. Even some of the things I was giving away, one of the kids had really wanted a projector, And I had, again, bought this projector and all these little LED lights. I was going to make my backyard amazing. And with this, everything happening, I was giving it away. And this child up, lit up when he saw some of the things I was just giving away. And it was so prophetic that here I was giving away something because it was in my heart to give it away. And I honestly didn't need, because it was brand new, still sitting in the box. But this is something this child had actually been praying for. And just like that, they were able to receive it. It was such a reminder of how connected we are. And when we are on purpose, when we're on mission, how we're able to fulfill these different desires that we all have. How we can help each other in that way. So I was really taken away. One of the children, the adult children, apparently had some like little pink boxing gloves that she had. Something happened with them. She was going to get some new ones, and here I was in this move. Hey, I've got some boxing gloves if you need them. I had no idea that that's something that was in her heart that she had been wanting. And then she and her husband made this look like, what? Get out of town. And yeah, prophetically, exactly what I was giving away was what they needed. So there were so many little instances just like that that kept happening as we were going through the items and through this move. And all I kept thinking was, I asked the Lord in my desperation, and I wasn't speaking on the other side of it, like I say. I wasn't speaking in the trust, in the faith that I have. I was frustrated, I was tired, and I was like, I'm going to need the whole army to help me. And just like that, in the next moment, the Lord sent me a small army to help me, and it was exactly what I needed. I was able to get everything out, get the whole house cleaned up. It looked amazing. It looked way better than when I got it. But I was able to fulfill my obligation that I agreed to before I transitioned. So that was one big instance of faith fulfilled, not knowing how it would turn out. Now the patience is still on point. So that was one instance. Another instance that happened, so after this move, it was time for me to transition to the place the Lord helped me find. So the Lord helped me with my funds locate a city that had, I was like, where can I find an extended hotel at least? Because I don't have the earthly income, but I still have some money. So I can't go ahead and sign a whole lease. But I do need to rest my head somewhere, especially after that move. I was exhausted. I'm like, Lord, I'm going to need to be somewhere. So the Lord had helped me in advance find somewhere that I could rent. And it's a small Super 8 motel. It's not the Hilton. But hey, I mean, I'm displaced. I've lost my home. I am literally just at the mercy. I'm trusting the Lord for everything at this point, all provisions. I had even started a cute little GoFundMe page. That thing probably has not had a view, I doubt. So I'm not familiar with GoFundMe. It's not something that I really looked at myself. Once I'm back on my feet, it's definitely something I want to do to help others in the future. But I even started that, and it's a little meager cuteness. It did not do anything. I was able to go ahead and secure this place. I paid for it up front in advance. So it's about 2.5 hours outside of the city I was living in. So I went ahead and took that journey. For me, I'm not someone that drives a whole lot, or at least not that far. So it's probably the longest I've ever driven. I was so tired. I had to pull over because it was late at night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was attempting to make this little venture. And I was that tragic person veering on the road. So I was like, oh no, I need to pull over. So I had to pull over even to make the rest of the journey, take a little nap. And I pulled over the edge of where my state ends and the new state begins. So I took my little nap, and then I headed back out. So I get to the place, and then the place says, we're going to need an additional deposit. And I was like, what are you talking about? I paid for everything in advance. I thought everything was already included. I was not accounting for this additional deposit. I did not have all of the funds for the deposit. I had some, but not all of it. So I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be absolutely penniless. But on top of that, before I can even be in the room, I don't have the deposit. So then I reached out to some family, and unfortunately my family was stretched thin too. There wasn't anything they could do either. And in fact, one of my family members who hadn't talked to in a bit was very ill, like gravely ill, and hadn't told anybody. So that was something else heavy on my heart. And so I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Again, I was talking to the Lord. This time I was too exhausted to be panicked. I wasn't frustrated. I was just openly talking to the Lord, like, Lord, what's the plan? What do we do now? And the Lord put it in my heart to reach out to two of my friends. One of my friends is like family. I've known my friend forever. I was embarrassed to tell her about my current situation, even though I'm like telling all of you, telling the whole wide world. I was too embarrassed to tell her. I really was. And so I hadn't told her. And then another friend who is super faith-filled, I go to church with her several times. It had been a few years since we had talked. Caught up in my whole life situation, like I told you before. I was a bit embarrassed to tell her too, even though she's super faith-filled, and I think that she may have understood this in a different way. And she had been through some things too that she had shared with me, so I don't know why I felt embarrassed to say any of it, but I did. But the Lord put it in my heart to reach out to those two people, and I thought, well, at least one of the two would be able to help. And then surprisingly, they both actually came through. So my friend, the super faithful, was able to help me with the deposit. And then my other friend not only helped me with what the deposit would be, but gave a little bit of extra money. So then that allowed me, to get some groceries, to get a few things, because again, I was super limited. I was budgeting as tightly as possible, but really just happy to have the roof over my head because it was so hot. So anyways, I was very fortunate to have that happen, but here I was with my pride too embarrassed to tell people my circumstance and my situation until I was so desperate that I had no other choice but to reach out and ask somebody. And I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I can't say completely surprised because they're great people, but I was still pleasantly surprised because you don't know anyone's circumstance. They may have wanted to help and not been able to help, like some of my family. But they both came through. I was able to get into my room. And then the next thing that happened was I got horribly sick. So I had moved from Nevada into California temporarily. And I'd only been here like less than 24 hours. And then literally within a day, I was horribly sick. And it's not like I had just been around the town, mingling, just having all kinds of social events, and none of that. I literally just went to a couple of stores to get a few things, and then I was in my room. And I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, like I told you before, so it's like cleaning my room extensively, even though it was really clean. This place, they do a great job maintaining the property. They're very nice, very respectful. I was just in here, and I was horribly sick. So for the next couple of weeks, or I guess like a week and a half, and so basically all I was just super sick. So finally, I professed my health and wellness, and the Lord helped me get better. I still have a little bit of symptoms I'm dealing with. My throat's still a bit sore, as you can hear. But anyways, I was able to go ahead and update, start posting again. So this is why I've returned back. So once again, as I'm speaking about having patience with the Lord and speaking prophetically through faith, even I'm going through the thick of it, I still have my moments where I lapse in my faith, where I'm Peter sinking in the water, yelling to be saved, and Jesus and the good Lord, come and save me. But these times that happened were just so moving. I felt spiritually moved. in my desperation to have my answer come with that family helping me, to know that I had such good neighbors the whole time, and I feel super guilty that I didn't take the time to get to know them before. I can't even imagine what circumstances could have been, how things could have been different, but I do know how they can be going forward, how we can all pull together as good neighbors and help one another. So I encourage you, get to know your neighbors. They're not all going to be amazing. Unfortunately, not everybody is. But at least you'll know who is and who isn't, who you can count on and who can count on you. Be a good neighbor as well. See where you could help someone. It's so quick, it's so easy to judge someone and look from the outside. You have no idea what they're going through, especially since a lot of us are online. Some of the comments and things that I see, some of the things I've said myself online, because there's distance, because it seems like the cool thing to say, the cool vibe, even though it's absolutely horrible and it's not nice at all for anyone to receive that message. I've done it. I have. I've seen it. I see it all the time. And now, as I'm spiritually elevating, I'm rising above that. None of that is important. But that person feeling good, being okay, that's important. That's what it's really about. That's what we're here to do. Not just live our own lives. See how much we can accumulate, because as you can see, when you give it away, it's meaningless to us. Hopefully it's a blessing to someone else, and in my case, it was a blessing for many. I'm very, very happy for that. It was an arduous labor, so to be rid of those things was also a blessing, to be free. So I hope that people will take heart in those things. What's really important, how we can help each other, how we can make anyone's life better. Anyone's. And even though my funds are limited, I still, when I see people that are worse off, and unfortunately I see it far too often, it can be a little bit alarming. I have to catch myself in my faith, because sometimes you see it and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not like a hop, skip, and a step away from that. I'm a tiptoe away from that circumstance. But I know in my faith that I'm further away than what I'm seeing in the natural, in the physical. And it's because I profess it. It's because I declare it and I ask it of the Lord through my word of God, as the child of God, the word personified. So I hope that you'll take heart in that as well. Your circumstances, you may not be that tiptoe away. You may be that person that I see. And I pray for you. I see you. I hope that you're not feeling the desperation that may look across your face. I hope that you, too, will profess, even in that dark moment, even in that despair, you will profess the love of God, and that you will seek His guidance. Because even in that deep, dark place, even in that despair, that desperation, mostly in those circumstances, God can help you. So when I do see those people, even though my funds are limited, I sure do try to help out as much as I can. There's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we still have, even when we don't notice it because we're in our own circumstance. We don't put enough emphasis on it. It may seem like nothing, but to someone else, it lights up their world, like that little boy's world was lit up with that projector I was just giving away. It's those little things that can make a difference in our lives, in their lives as well. It's just as rewarding both ways. So enduring trials with patience, that's where I'm at. That may be where you are too. And what it says in James chapter 1, verses 3 through 4. Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So God often helps us build this patience through the trials, teaching us to rely on Him fully. And it's okay when we need to rely on Him fully to do so. Because each time that I have, the Lord has seen me through. I was desperate, didn't think I could make that move, didn't know what I was going to do. I'm locked out of the house, literally. And just like that, I had my army helping me move. In moving and giving my things away, it was truly a blessing for other people, a blessing I could see. Some of the other items I was just giving away to Goodwill. I'm like, oh, hopefully they price it at a nice price and people can afford it, and it's a blessing for them, and they're helped by it. But then I was having direct impact on people right there that were definitely benefiting from my gift. So how do we cultivate this patience in our lives daily? How do we trust in God's plan? Even when we don't see the results, we can rest in His promises. So in Psalm 27:14, it states, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." So no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what we're going through, there isn't anything too big and there isn't anything too small for the Lord's attention, love, and care. God is a faithful God. God is a loving God. And God is working on all things for our good. It's not just lines, verses in a book. The Word is living. The Bible is built on these words. It is a living document, manuscript. People have gone through really interesting trials and tribulations in that book. We're going to still go through trials and tribulations today. The difference is we have an outline. We have precedents. We have something else to look back and say, hey, if this person, sorry, my laptop's on my knees as I'm in my little confined space. It's not prophetic shifting. It's not an earthquake. But if these people of the past have gone through X, Y, and Z, then the Lord has seen them through it, and they've become quite victorious. The Lord can see us through this. And if we have the faith, even though we're building it, whatever size faith we have, if we use that and exercise it and work in the obedience as well, then the Lord is going to see us through the other side of what it is we're going through. I'm still going through it. For me, this is not, it's that Churchill quote, this is not the end. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning. That's really what has gone through. I'm shedding the old me, and I'm building and restoring the new me. And while I do that, I am in a literal and spiritual transformation and transition. And so that's what's going on for me. I can imagine some things may be very similar for you all too. Your state may be more improved than mine. It may be a bit worse than what I'm explaining to you all right now. But wherever you are, as long as you're calling on the Lord is right there with you. Don't think for a minute He isn't, because I just explained a couple of instances where not only did I need blessings, but I became a blessing for someone else very quickly, within a matter of just asking. So the Lord is definitely there. It's very easy to just say, stand in the faith, whatever sides it is, while it's happening. I get it. I had my moment of lapse as well in my frustration. The Lord didn't take it personally. The Lord didn't say, child, how many times do I need to prove to you that I am God? How many times do I need to show you that I can help you? Why do you doubt? Peter, sinking in the water, ye of little faith, why did you doubt? The Lord understands. He understands our limited understanding. He understands how easily we can be distracted. The enemy is not, I cannot stress enough, the enemy is not occasionally getting in the way. Every single moment they're attacking. Because I mean, look, as I am building my faith and spirituality and I'm sharing to you all, I'm trying to share some benefits. Here comes, the enemy saying, well, do you really want to follow her? Look at her circumstance. If things are so good just listening and being obedient, why aren't things better for her? It can be real easy to see those things and be like, ooh, I don't want that to happen to me. Maybe she doesn't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know. I can share with you what I'm learning. Um, and what I'm learning is exactly what I'm saying. I am I'm living these moments. I am exercising the patience. I am now operating in the obedience. And even when you finally start to do what you were told to do a long time ago, doesn't mean everything just magically starts to fall into place. Remember, we had to reroute. We had a plan that was already in the works. The Lord had a path for us, and I wasn't on it. I jumped off Big Toe. Jesus had to pick me up, dust me off, give me some love, put me back on Big Toe. So I'm back on Big Toe. But now, things have happened in the interim. So the Lord is working, the Lord is reconfiguring my path to get me back on it. But I'm still with Him. That's the most important thing. You're not going to see, some of you may, but for the most part, it's not going to be instantaneous where everything that you're asking for is going to just happen. You're going to live out your glorious life. We're not going to all just suddenly be millionaires because we've spoken that into existence. It doesn't mean it can't happen. That's the way it's supposed to work. We're supposed to be able to ask for the things we want and we will receive them. But we have to be ready for them. We have to be ready to receive them. I have to pause for just a moment more and we'll continue before we close. All right, thank you so much for that patience. Another way that we can express and grow in our patience is to practice grace with others. Show the same patience towards people that God shows towards us. And that's a challenge because God is so patient with us. So patient with us. But in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 2, it says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. So it can be real easy to lose our patience with other people, especially when they're terribly inconsiderate. And they may not be who we deem worthy of the exercise of our patience, of our grace. But they are the people that need it the most. They're definitely the people that are the most challenged, and they can learn from our example, they can benefit by our demonstration of grace and patience towards them. At times, we may need to pray for strength to endure not only what we're going through, what may be coming, or just to get through to the other side. So ask God to give you peace and endurance to wait well. Romans chapter 12, verse 12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. And I've got to say, even though I'm going through probably the toughest trial of my life, I've been through some things before, but this is probably the toughest. I've never had more peace. And even though the enemy is attacking me all kinds of ways, even with the germs, which I despise the most, but even through that, I have so much peace. And every time the Lord comes through again with something that is such a beautiful miracle, such a blessing, I'm just renewed with my gratitude, my love for the Lord, and just basking in His love for me, because that's what those are. Those little acts or demonstrations of love and care. And if He's doing it in my life, I can only imagine all the things He's doing in your lives as well. And it can be really easy to overlook all these good things that happen because they may be small. They're not all like the jackpot, but even those small little things can feel greater than that. When I was able to get that deposit and get into an actual dwelling, here I was excited about a Super 8 motel. You know, never in my life would I have ever thought that I would be that excited to have this as the roof over my head. But man, now that I need it, what a blessing. What a blessing it is. So in those circumstances for yourself, whatever they are, big, small, Be humble and be full of gratitude as you receive them. And don't overlook them. If you have been, it happens. But start to look for those signs of what the Lord is doing in your life to express that gratitude, because that is part of our growth. So in close, I want to bring us back to a prayer to help us really get ready to be patient, to be strong in our patience, to be humble, graceful, and to be giving, to be rather generous during these times as well. Please join me in this prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you today asking for a heart of patience. Teach us to trust in your timing, to wait with faith, and to endure with a spirit of peace. Help us to show patience to those around us, just as you are patient with us. Strengthen our hearts when waiting feels difficult, and remind us that your plans are always for our good. In Jesus' name, amen. So I pray this message has encouraged you today. If you're asking God for more patience, share your thoughts in the comments. If you also have some trials, tribulations, or some triumphant news to share, please do. I do read all the comments. In our walk with faith, there may be other prayer warriors who could really use the message too, or to pray for you if you need those prayers. Or I'm happy to do so. I'm sure others will be happy to do so as well. We're in this together. So the more that we can share, the better. Again, don't forget to like the video and to subscribe for more daily prayers. I am getting better, so I will try to post on here a little bit more frequently and then come up with a plan, a strategy of how many times I'll be posting or when, to give you all a better idea. But I will also be keeping up with the prayers and the affirmations to join the videos. So shortly I'll have another one to complement this video on patience. So I'm adding the actual full prayer in the description. So when you want to just read the prayer, you have the prayer. The affirmations will also be included. And then when you want to do both the prayer and the affirmations, follow along in the video and we'll do them together. If there's anyone else that you feel may benefit from these messages, please do share them. Again, we want to reach as many people as possible and have them on this faith walk with us for the Lord. May God's peace and patience fill your heart today. Many, many blessings to all of you. God bless you all. Shalom.